question 1?
Yeah, somebody will need to read question 1.
Okay. What does death think of humanity? How does this relate to the themes in this novel? I think death kind of thinks of humanity as a joke, and that relates as the Jews were treated very bad.
I agree because on page 14 and 15 it says that they have to prove to him that it's not a waste of their existence.
I'm sorry, could you say that again? I didn't hear what you said.
On page 14 and 15 it says that they have to prove to him that it is not that their being there is not a waste of their time and existence.
I agree with both Colin and Jacob because it says on page 550 that death is haunted by humans. So he kind of gets like, he realizes how skeptic and racist they were, and that's a learned action and not something that they got with heredity.
As Caden said how he was haunted, he also thought of him as a distraction.
And that makes them, that makes them see humanity as, or the humans as certain colors.
I agree because, like he said in 550, that he said that he's haunted by humans. I guess he thinks that one day he may be scared because they may overcome him, and he'll like.
I think that
Somebody needs to call him on that because he just said that death is afraid of humans.
I disagree because death is when it.
Wait. Instead, like, you want to say, I don't see where you're getting that from the text. Does that make sense? Give him an opportunity to defend what he means, and then you say what you think. Okay?
I don't see that in the text.
That's just what I thought.
It says that death always carries their souls. So, and he says that they're not worth of their existence. So why would he be scared of them?
He says he feels bad for all the survivors and that it would be better for them to like die because when they die they're in peace and resting and not having to go through all the hardships in life.
I definitely agree with Walls. How he's saying that death is so peaceful once you're dead and you don't have to face anything.
Yeah, and it says he's fair. It's fair enough to.
I agree with Evan because on page 146 that says he feels sorry for them, and since they're going like through war and stuff.
He said he never gets to take a vacation, so that means how often people are dying, and he always stays busy with capturing the souls.
Like when Death mentions something about his job, like he hates his job and he needs to find distractions. I wonder if that kind of relates back to the fact of how he's haunted by humans and he always has to collect their souls because he thinks they're so skeptic and racist.
I think he's incapable of understanding human emotions.
Why do you think that, Jacob?
Because on page 25 it says, this is a whole quote, Lisa was sore. Her mother carried the memory of him. This is when her brother died on the train. Oh, slung over her shoulder, she dropped him. She saw his feet and legs and body slap the platform. And Death asked himself, how could that woman walk? He was incapable of understanding how she could keep going like that.
So like he described Liesl's brother dying as more of like a bad thing instead of dying in grace and having respect for him.
Yeah, because since Liesl's alive, her brother doesn't have to face any of that. Like, he's dead, and she's gonna have to remember that, her having to carry him, and all of that.
leaning towards the beginning of the book. I'm sorry if you guys already said this or something. I just got back and I don't exactly have my notes with me right now. I don't know what happened to them. But towards the beginning of the book, he kind of seemed a little bit more unsure of humans in sort of like a 50-50 way.
So if he's unsure of humans, then why does he describe them with dark colors if he doesn't like them?
Dark colors is like, I don't really have textual evidence for this, but he only sees like one color of them. He can't really understand how they have all these other emotions and stuff.
So that goes back to the point of how he doesn't understand human emotions.
Wait, what was it that you said?
I said he is incapable of understanding human emotions.
No, not right then, like before Dylan started to speak.
Before?
Yes.
That's what I said.
That's what he said.
Okay.
We gotta relate it to the theme. That's the second part.
He may understand emotions, but he may not feel them. But there is, if he feels the emotions, he can like sense them, how they're struggling, how Liesl and her family struggled, but he may not understand them that much.
So like on page 536 it says, it amazes me what humans can do. I think that goes back to the point of how he knows that racism and skepticism is a learned action and it's not inherited by any means. So he's just wondering how they could have such a great opportunity and they just throw it down the drain like Hitler did with the Jews, like how he was racist with them.
When I was trying to remember, it was how Liesl had to carry her brother over, or had to carry her brother once he was dead, and that's kind of how they struggled in the theme of the book. They were just so vulnerable, or however you say that word.
So Dylan, you remember when you said that he was 50-50 about like he didn't know how humans were? So do you think that's why he has to describe their emotions with colors instead of actual emotions?
Well, maybe. I guess maybe. Sort of sometimes people might also do that.
Like they associate dark with bad and light with good?
Yeah, I guess also think like that.
I agree with Kanan because, like Jacob said, he doesn't really understand emotions, so he puts it in a way that he can understand.
Yeah, because he definitely knows color because that's how he interprets everything.
Yeah, on page 4 it says, a single hour can consist of thousands of different colors, waxy yellows, cloud spat blues, murky darknesses. In my line of work, I make it a point to notice them.
Why do you think humans haunt death?
I think humans haunt death because they were given an opportunity of living, which he didn't have the opportunity, or which we don't know. So he was just wondering how they could be have such bad qualities and characteristics of racism, skepticism, and just think down on people instead of lift them up in positive ways.
Do you say that death haunts humans?
Yes, he does. It says on page
550.
550.
Well, it may also be a little bit of how we don't know exactly what happens after death. We don't know because it's sort of like you can't like tell people about it. You can't like experience and talk about it. It's sort of like you don't really know. That may be why it haunts. It may just be end, just nothing.
People may be afraid of death because
He's associated with darkness. He's always
yes, and who really wants to die? We all want to live our lives.
Guys, remember, if I can't hear what you say, I can't give you credit for saying anything.
Can you hear me?
And relating to the theme, so the theme of the story is definitely racism is a learned action, and like Hitler, he just thought that the Aryan race was the perfect race, and that the Jews were just something looked down upon. So this question is how death looks down upon humans because of their learned actions.
Tell me, do you think death is racist against humans?
I don't think he's racist.
Didn't hear a word you said. Just heard mumbling. Gotta speak louder where I can hear you. Like, I understand that you're talking to each other, but if I can't hear you, I can't give you a grade. So say it again, just
think Death is racist against humans?
I don't think he's racist because he doesn't depict one's race. He just kind of, it's kind of like classist. He sees the way certain humans act, and he sees like the good and the bad differently, and then he depicts more of the bad because like he would rather explain how bad they are than how good they are.
I agree because
Yeah, because he's deaf and he doesn't have
I
any
agree
cause of that.
because he, like he said, he mainly only talks about the bad things, and that's mainly because they give up so many chances to be good.
And I don't think he's racist to the humans, but how Hitler says the perfect race is blonde hair, blue eyes, and Death doesn't say anything about blonde hair, blue eyes.
He's classist, not racist.
Yeah,
I
that
agree.
relates back to classes.
I agree.
On page
Why do
6,
you agree?
Why do you agree?
Because Death never said anything about blonde hair, blue eyes, so that kind of makes you think that he's not racist at all. Because he takes care, he takes everybody's soul, no matter if they're blonde hair, blue eyes, or
Yeah,
black hair.
I
brown eyes,
I
whatever.
agree
That-
because I agree because like how it like you said, he doesn't care. He's gonna take you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, on page 6 it says, I'm all bluster, I'm not violent, I'm not malicious, I'm a result.
He quoted page 6.
I'm not able to give you any points because I can't hear you. Say it one more time, and this time say it loud. Okay?
On page 6 it says, I am not all bluster, I am not violent, I am not malicious, I am a result.
I agree because death is kind of like the end, and the result is kind of like an end.
Well, do any of y'all, or I'll just talk to Nick, do you think he's a result? He may be like, what do you think he's a result
Like life questions.
So like he's definitely affected by the different people who die. Like it mentioned in the book like Hans, when he came to die, he was sitting up in an upright position, not wanting to fight death. And Rudy, he said it was like robbery, so much of life because he had so much to live for. So he wants certain people, not he doesn't want certain people to live. He just values other people's lives over others.
What you all said, swirling back to why I said 50-50, because all the ways that he's kind of saw him as bad, but then his changes kind of good.
Like, Kanan, why do you think he would value others' death?
He like in Rudy's he would value Rudy's lives over a Nazi who was just racist and didn't have a clue, like he was arrogant. He valued Rudy's because of how much there was in his life, how much value was in his life, because he was very courageous and he would do things that others wouldn't.
He also said that he carried people up differently, that he would hold children lightly in his arm, and adults he would just sometimes throw them over his shoulder to carry them up.
Do you think that Death knows what's in the world? Like, does he know what we're going through, or do you think that we're just here and he just captures the souls?
I don't think
Like,
he knows what
things
we're
we
going
have
through.
problems.
I
what's
think he
going on.
knows.
I disagree with what Jacob said because I'm like Walls. I do think that he knows what we're going through because like he can depict and read Liesl's book and understand the struggles. So that also goes with what you said about emotion. So I wonder if he can understand human emotions and he just does it. He just sees the bad, and I wonder if he just doesn't see the good in people.
Yeah, because he says he distracts themselves from all of our emotions by looking at the colors of the sky.
You can easily see why, because of the time that's set in. You can easily see why he also sees the bad people.
Okay. I'm
That's
gonna
sad.
stop y'all there so that you can go ahead and shift to your next question.
I'll
Yeah,
start out.
that's what you call a separate seminar. Very, very good. Much better than the other classes. Yes?
I think Dolores to come in office.
She's on her way. But a lot of the things that you guys, that I was writing down to kind of honest with you that I thought maybe you misunderstood in the book, you were able to talk through on your own, which is good. That's the whole point, right? Is to listen to somebody else's idea and then come up with something. So it was suggested at one point that Death thinks that death is better than being alive and that he's relieving them when he comes to get them. But that's not necessarily the case, because one of you pointed out, I think it was somebody over here, that he calls himself just a result, and not necessarily like he's saving them or taking them to a better place, but he calls himself just a result. Plus, I think somebody else on this side had said something about how that he was very angry about Rudy's death because of Rudy lost his chance at life and he had so much living to do. So he does value life just as much as he values the idea that there has to be an end to that life. It was also suggested that colors are his conjuring. Somebody else pointed out that the colors are, I'm sorry, somebody had said that the people set the colors. No, he reacts to the situation, and that creates a color for him. If it's a good death or something, he sees it a different color than other deaths. So I thought that was good that y'all worked that back out. And then where somebody said that he can't understand their feelings.
Jacob.
Well, yes, he can. What he's confused by is their duality, how they can be so amazing and so horrid at the same time. Like they can be so amazing that they can recover after such a tragic loss like the mother, right? He understands the depth of her feeling and how floored she is in that situation, but yet he recovers. Yet she recovers, but then on the other hand, you have all this hatred and everything that is spewed by someone like Hitler. So that's where it's the duality of humanity that he struggles with, the good and the bad that we all have in us, right?
Yes,
and it's that whole idea of whichever one you feed is the one that grows, right? Because we all got good and bad. We can all act like we're perfect, but we all have negative thoughts we have to work on, right? We have to, cast and that kind of thing. So, but like I said, what I was impressed with was your ability to listen to each other and to think things through instead of just talking at each other. So I liked that. Very good job. Yes?
Are we going to do this with the next book we read, or do you think we won't have time this year?
If we get time for the K, we will. I don't know that we will. I also really liked the use of textual evidence. Very good job, guys. Y'all are setting the bar high for the next group that goes. All right, so y'all pick up your next question.
Okay.
But I will tell you, Bella, y'all have to speak. This is not something that you can just take an F on, okay? Because you have to show me before you move to 8th grade that you mastered this standard. Does that make sense? So you have to talk in a collegiate group, okay? Yes?
Is there anything that you need to help us with?
No, y'all are asking questions. The only thing is some of you are more soft-spoken than others, and I just need you to be louder because I can't hear you, okay? And I know for some of you that's a struggle. I haven't always been this loud. Years of teaching have made me this loud. I was actually quite soft-spoken when I was younger. So I promise you can make yourself do it, okay?
Hey, Peter, can you give that book out?
All right, so y'all are ready to start your second question. Whoever wants to read it to the group.
I will. So the second question is, are the books that Lisa still important? And then, can I?
I think they are because they all relate to important moments in the book and her life, because the Grave Digger's Handbook, that represents her brother dying.
I agree, because like he said, a bunch of key moments in the book involve her stealing books or involve books that she's stolen.
Okay, wait, now what does somebody need to ask him?
I didn't hear him. He was too soft-spoken.
Okay, he said, which that makes me feel better that I could at least hear somebody you couldn't hear. He said that the book books were related to key moments, but does he name any of the key moments?
No.
What,
I got you.
So what does somebody need to do so they can get credit for asking
What-
questions?
What was an example of
Such
a
as
key
when
moment?
Victor
Okay,
throws.
let's let Bella do that, because Bella needs
Bella.
a point.
So what are some of the key moments in the book?
Such as when Victor throws the book about the murder into the river and Rudy jumps in to get it. Thousand.
Why is that like a good moment? Why is
It's a key moment because
why?
Yeah,
No, you
because
gotta tell us why.
it strengthens the relationship between Rudy and
Okay,
Liesl.
Kendrick, so what Nick was saying about the key moments is the key moments relate to what's in the book. The Gravedigger's Handbook would be about somebody's dying in like graves, and that would be her brother dying. So the Whistler is a murder, and it's about a Jew. So that the Whistler would relate to World War II, but what you said, I don't think it had anything to relate in the book.
And the
Why?
shoulders.
How
And
it
Liesl, in in the book, like Hitler didn't want them to have books about anything that he didn't like. He wanted all the books to be just what he wants, and if it's not, that's how they learn what's going on around them, and they can do stuff to make it where Hitler's not in power anymore.
I also think that the books represent something from Nazi Germany, because like the Whistler is about a murder, and the Hitler was killing people.
Yeah. Also about the Whistler, like it's also about like World War II, and Hitler didn't like what Colin said. Hitler didn't want anything about knowledge, so those books participated in Liesl's learning and of her growing of a young woman. So it gave her knowledge, and so she wouldn't have to be the new kid who didn't know anything. She could grow as a young adult.
Can I
The
talk? You can go. No, you can go. You probably have a better point.
The books, like made a special relationship between Liesl and Hans, like they grew when he taught her to read.
Yes, that was very important because Liesl was very, very, very scared when she arrived at the Hoovermans, and when he came and taught her how to roll cigarettes and started talking to her, I felt that their relationship was very strong
So
to start out.
so Evan, so you said it participated in their relationship. Do you think that without learning of the books that they wouldn't have grown on each other as well?
They probably still would have, but not as good. They wouldn't have been like as good of a relationship, like as close as they were.
And she would be up later at night, and they would read together, which that definitely is an example of them growing. Just to wake up that late and want to read.
Also, usually when she woke up from like her nightmare, Hans came in and read to her. I think that was a way to like calm her down and make her like stop so she could go back to sleep.
So I wonder why she would read a book like the Gravedigger's Handbook, going on with all the murders at the time, and all the graves to be dug.
I think. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, I think maybe the books were sort of like a distraction to her, sort of, in a way.
And she was wanting, it's a book and she loved reading, and if she was going to read it even if it was the first book she's ever seen.
Think about it sort of throughout the book. It's kind of her way of coping around with all the bad things that are happening.
In the text on page 66 it says, whatever the reason, her hunger to read that book was intense as any 10-year-old human could experience. So, like, she wanted to read. She didn't just do it because it would help her education. She, like, had a deep desire in her heart to read.
Yeah, I think that the book, when she read, it reminded her of important things from the past.
So,
in her
like,
life.
so I could key on those moments and put them in positive points instead of negative
Like
points.
the Gravedigger, it's about her brother's and mother's death, and I think that reminded her of that.
I think it like helped connect her to her brother by reading that.
And I think that it kind of made her feel stronger because she knows that other people have been through it, especially because of the Gravedigger's Handbook.
You guys made a really good list, some really good points.
back on the Hitler not wanting them to learn, the shoulder shrug, the one she stole from the bonfire, the book burning on Hitler's birthday, that really represents her taking back from Hitler.
I think
Make-
that's. I think
Making the stand toward Hitler.
Showing she's a survivor.
yeah, and like, so if she was a survivor, and like how all the books she read and stuff, do you think that that participated in the fact that she could survive and could fight?
Yes. Those books really helped her and Hans make a connection and really helped her grow up and get close to her new foster family.
And it kind of got her closer to Rudy too, because they did still books together.
And the mayor's wife.
Yes, that's the only reason. That's one of the only reasons that they did have a relationship, because Lulu was caught stealing her second book.
So that sort of comes back to the point that Kendrick was making earlier about it being involved in key moments in the book, or key things from the book.
Nick said that first.
All right, let's move into your third question. And I want Bella and Tori to speak before anybody else.
The third question says, what does the novel suggest about the power of words? It suggests that words, they have a lot of power. Like most of Hitler's power comes from the words that he spoke.
And in the book,
Wait, I heard from Tori.
oh, sorry.
I know it makes for moments of awkward silence, but you know, some of us are more quick with our thoughts than others, and some of us are just really shy. So you've got to be cognizant of that and give other people a chance.
Sorry, Tori. Sorry, Bella.
The novel suggests that the power of words is very strong because throughout the novel, Liesel discovers the destruction of words through Hitler, and in the novel it says she was listening intently to the torrent of words spilling from his mouth since his sentences glowed in the light. This explains how Hitler captivated people with his words, because he was convincing them to dislike Jews.
I agree with her because, like she said, Hitler's words were very powerful, so powerful that millions of people thought that if you weren't perfect, you shouldn't be alive. That you should. There's no reason for you connect. Like also that his words were so powerful that when Liesel says that she hated him when Hans slaps her, it shows that how powerful his words can be. That just a thought or something like that can cause you to be killed, because he was trying. He was telling her not to do that, because if she were to say that and someone were to hear it, she could get in a lot of trouble.
So
You think about it.
I didn't write this down, but or I wrote down about it. I forgot what page. It says words can make a promise or hope. Like, and Hitler did not want them. He wanted the people that were the perfect rape. They had a lot of hope because they were gonna live unless they did something against Hitler's. And to promise how Hans and Liesel had promises with each other.
If you think about it, throughout history, words have been one of the most powerful things. Sure, sometimes violence has been more powerful than words. Like, well, actually, sometimes violence was caused by words. Like that's how we decide most of our things as humans in general. We use our words, and we like whoever words is better.
What's an example of?
Well,
What do you mean?
sort of like in politicians, they sort of show you why they should be leaders. They have to tell you why and things like that. And if you look back during the olden day, like the American Revolution and stuff, you can see that just like a few voices can make like huge amounts of people stand up. Like in the Revolutionary War, it made all 13 colonies stand up against the biggest military force at the time.
So Tori, going back to what you said on how Hitler's words helped him succeed, do you think since he took the power of words away from the Jews, that helped in his succession to overcome in Germany and being a leader?
Yes, because it probably scared them as well, because he
didn't have a chance to learn.
And what was the street that they lived on again? On Himmel Street, even though Hitler thought almost everyone went along with him as Nazis was, and on Himmel Street, no one went with him. No one thought Hitler was right, but no one stood up and they didn't use the power of words.
Well,
Oh,
Hans did
Not
do.
nobody because
No.
that
Hans did do an action, so they fed that old man bread.
and that the shopkeeper that always before
Fraud
anybody
dealer.
could buy
Yeah.
anybody they ate the salute to Hitler.
Yeah.
And Rudy and Liesel did stand up to Hitler in many different ways.
Especially
Number one, when they fed the Jews on the walk with the bread.
and another way was when Liesel, she was screaming and Hans had to slap her to calm her down because she could have got herself killed for saying that.
One of the main reasons Hitler rose to power is they were coming off a loss in World War I. He just came in and took over. He made all these speeches about what he wanted and his dream and what else he wanted to do. Germany, how he wanted Germany to be.
Wasn't he one of the main officers in World War I?
Yeah, he was a commander or something.
It could have helped with
It's-
politicians.
How exactly do y'all think Hitler used the power of words to succeed?
I think, okay, so he didn't necessarily use the power of words. He took the power of words away from people knowing and reading in books that wasn't what was supposed to happen. And like the upcoming generation, they just learn racism and skepticism because they were used to it, and nobody else wanted to make a stand against the most powerful man in the world at that time.
Yes,
Yeah.
and like Cannon said, you weren't born racist.
It's a learned action.
Yes, it's something that your parents or maybe your grandparents have taught you, and it's just going to feed down to the next generation.
and exactly for what Colin said was when Rudy tried to be Jesse Owens and his dad told him he couldn't do that.
Because even though he's the perfect racist.
But like he said that he convinced people that if you weren't perfect, like you didn't have anything. Wasn't Liesel whipped or whatever because that she stood up for somebody's imperfectness?
She was slapped.
Oh,
Just like
sorry.
Hans.
Oh, I thought.
Oh, and that also relates to the fact that, like, racism is learned and stuff. Tommy,
Mueller.
Rudy's friend, he stood up for him because he was imperfect because he was deaf. He always messed up everything.
And
I hate to cut y'all off because I've listened to y'all go all day. 'Cause I'm telling you, I was like, second period, I was like, my seventh graders are not smart enough to do some hard exams.
Bet.
You know, 'cause my eighth graders do such a good job, but then y'all, look at that. Yay, points, all those points. So, yes, very, very good. So I'm going to play y'all's video for my second period tomorrow so they can see what they're supposed to be doing.
Get wrecked,
Okay.
eighth graders.
So, very good, I mean, awesome, every one of you, like Jacob Carr's like, oh yeah, that makes me think, that's awesome, that's exactly what you want. That's what I wanna see, I want somebody to go, oh, I didn't think of that until you said that, and then that. So, anyway,
Connection.
alright, so those of you on the outside, don't close your, computers, you should be able to just like, unjoin that or whatever, or copy that. I tell you what, copy that URL and then close it, and then open that tab back up so that we don't have to wait on you guys to open up your own. Does that make sense?
I have it clicked on the tab.
We already have it as a bookmark.
Can we put it to our bookmark or something?
Well, you don't want to bookmark that particular one because that's not, well, yeah, it's fine. Okay, just figure out how, so that y'all can trade seats, and those of you on the outside are coming in, those of you on the inside are going out. Very good job. Dylan Kahila, I'm going to share your discussion of the American Revolution with your sixth grade history teacher.
Yay, Dylan, and guys.
Is that where you learned about the American Revolution?
I already
You learn about
He depicts her as a thief because like that's what the Nazis thought that she was really doing it to survive. And actually when she stole, it made her a better woman. And then I got it right here about what she stole was precious to her.
Okay, if y'all promise to be louder, I'll turn the air back on. It's kind of stuffy in here, but I had to turn it off because I couldn't hear them. Are y'all gonna be louder? Can I turn the air back on? No. No. Who's sitting here? Is there anybody sitting here? All right, sit right there. If we don't have enough seats, we'll just have to move one inside the circle. Yes.
We use our partner.
Yeah, but just make sure you log in, join as you, so that I'll know when you started talking. All right, turn the air back on.
Wait.
All right, right here it is. Can you see it? Okay. Go ahead and type in round 2, so I'll know that we started round 2 here. All right. So everybody on the outside in. Okay, so those of you that just did it, it's pretty easy, isn't it? Once you get, I mean, it's just you talking.
There's a lot of awkward silence.
Once you
how I was
have
There's gonna be a lot more
initial,
for
like,
this
I don't
one.
know.
How I was wrong, and then that just made it, we can went on for the rest of the class.
I felt sleepy.
Hey, I'm good now.
All right, you in? Everybody's in, right?
Anxiety attack.
How much would you think?
Here, let me stab you.
So you're there we go.
I'm gonna
Who put Rose in by Bella Lyon? We did
Julie! You're gonna get
We're
points
gonna
out.
points take away from saying hey.
Oh, really?
Yeah, don't say hey.
Who's a Wilson?
I always
For
have
me, yeah.
somebody that's like, it's time for lunch. I'm like, don't put that on there.
It's time.
It's time.
Okay, that didn't come back on, did it? Go, Nick, go turn that one up there. Just turn it on local. If it gets too loud, we'll turn it off. All right, who's reading the question?
I will. I got
All
it.
right, go ahead.
All right. The question: why does Zuzak depict Liesel as a thief?
And if that one is your more difficult one, if you want to start one of the others, you can.
All right. I'll start out with what I think. I think she's depicted as a thief because to the Nazis, by her stealing the books, they think she's a thief, but what actually by her stealing them, it actually helps her grow into a better young woman.
I think, like, now, if we think of a thief, we think of someone that's, like, mean and tough, and then they have to do that to survive, and that's how she was. She was a fighter, and she didn't give up easily, and she had to steal, otherwise they would have starved.
She wanted to like read so she could learn more, because how they were growing up and they couldn't read where she was.
She's like a thief because basically she steals the books, but it's not for bad or anything. It's just trying to teach her how to read and stuff.
Because on page 109 it says, after all, her 3 books were the most precious items she owned.
So that kind of gives you like evidence that she loves to read, and without books, that's not like really her. She had to have like a book and read.
I agree with Carter, cause like, if she was, cause it said, yeah, he makes her appear as a thief to make her seem as a fighter.
And like, I would think the reason for, let's say the Gravediggers book, I think the reason it was precious to her is that's what brought her closer to Hans Huberman. And without him in her life, he got her through a lot of tough times and made her more courageous.
Yeah, I agree with you, Andrew, because by her reading his books, it kind of like reminded her about her family, and then she got closer to certain people.
But why not the book reader? Why the book thief?
Because
That's right, it in there so they can refer that.
Andrew, how's the Gravedigger's Handbook make them get closer?
Okay, the night when she was having a lot of nightmares, and says, "I'm just going to teach y'all to read," and then he finds that book, and then ever since then, when he started reading her that book and they started learning how to read, they started getting closer together.
So it became like a nightly routine for him?
Yeah.
When they had nightmares. When Swivl had nightmares.
Yeah, which was a lot right when she got to their place because of
Every
her
night.
brother just dying. Yeah.
Every night.
Didn't she have numbers of her brother, basically, because he had just died right before that?
But
And so she was like sad, really sad about it.
would y'all think that he really depicted her as a true thief because she truly valued the stuff that she stole, and most thieves don't value that. Most thieves, they eventually feel bad about it. What do y'all think?
Like Victor Schimmel, he stole because he thought it was fun, and he's portrayed as like a bad person.
Yeah.
And we don't portray Lisa as a bad person because she needs that to survive. But she steals.
Wasn't there somebody else in the book that stole to try to survive?
She stole books.
They had a whole gang.
Yeah.
But she didn't just steal
Arthur
books.
Berg was the leader of the first game, and then he went away, and Victor Schimmel.
She didn't just steal books though, she stole food. Yeah, she stole food from that guy on the back all over her.
She sold from the
Yeah, and she stole from the apple trees and the farmers.
Yeah.
And that's where their band came to play. Like, it was just her and Rudy stealing books. But then like band of thieves, that was stealing food and stuff. Doesn't like the Gravedigger's Handbook, since they read it every night in her nightmares, doesn't that like kind of help with one of the resolutions? Like she stops dreaming about her dead brother.
It's kind of like
It like takes her mind off of it. Takes her mind off of her brother.
So
And she eventually forgets about it.
if she stole what she needed, do you think that she needed the books?
she did because like that helped her get through all the tough times, especially back then because every day was hard. And so when she got to read, she got to relax and forget like all the hardships and stuff.
And she also kind of needed the books, so like it helped her learn how to start reading, which is a pretty big part of life.
And if she never learned how to read, she would never learn how to write.
Yeah.
If she never learned how to write, then she would never write in her journal, and then we wouldn't know her story.
Yeah.
She isn't the big
And-
the girls really don't steal books, if you think about it. Because you figure a guy would steal before a girl would steal a book.
And the Gravedigger's Handbook like kind of indirectly saves her life because that's how she learns how to read. And then when she learns how to read, she wants to know how to write. So then when she's writing down in the basement and the place gets in the Himmel Street gets bombed, she's in the basement and she lives.
So basically, you can say that by her still in the books, it saves her life.
We're supposed to start
I think.
All right, let's go ahead. We'll start with question 2 tomorrow. Y'all do 2 and 3 tomorrow.
I mean, 5 and 6.
Yes, the last 2 of your questions.
Oh, Miss Richardson, did you fill that out?
Tiny.
Don't you like her, bud? I'm not. Cocaine is. We're in Mr. One's class, we're in groups. We need to be a group.